The wheels on the YOLO bus go swag, 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 swag. The wheels on the YOLO bus go swag, 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 swag. Alright, now that I've scared everybody to death, welcome to today's episode of the Platinum Sanctum podcast. Found out I need to call it the Platinum Sanctum podcast because there was another Platinum podcast out there. I didn't know it until the other day, but it's okay. I don't think they realize we're here yet. So, good change. Anyway, today is the day. Yay! It's Patch 5.4 Siege of Orgrimmar. We finally get to get into it. Get our meat hooks into it. We have patch notes galore. We have new stuff to explore. It's amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm right here looking at the Battle.net page right now. We're going to talk about the new patch notes. And here we go. I'm just going to jump right into it. Let's talk about the new features right off the bat. We already know about the raid. Siege of Orgrimmar. We're going to punch Garrosh Hellscream in the face. Yes. Yes. I've been waiting for this since Wrath of the Lich King. Thank you, Blizzard. Yes. Yes. Anyway. As these the raids will be available in normal, heroic, raid finder, and the new flexible raid. I'll get to that in a minute. And I went over the schedule last time about when things will be released. So if you want to check back on that podcast, please feel free. Now to talk about this, the new feature, flexible raid difficulty. I will explain how this works point by point. This is a new raid difficulty designed for pre-made groups of 10 to 25 players or any number in between. Means we can take almost as many as we want. This means it's possible to have a raid of 15 or 22 players. Difficulty will adjust automatically based on the number of players present, with encounters intended to provide a challenge roughly between raid finder and normal difficulty. So you're here's raid finder. And then up here, a little further, is normal. So right in between there, you're going to have raid finder. So if you ever get to the point where you think, okay, I'm good, I'm really good at LFR, but I seem not to struggle in normal, maybe go with flex. Hey, if it works, it works. So we got some more stuff here. Flexible raid difficulty requires a pre-made group, but to join, but has no minimum item level requirements or role restrictions. Both BattleTag and Real ID friends are eligible to participate. This basically means that you can jump right in. It's going to be pretty nice for people who have alts who can play their class well, but may not have the correct item level for like an LFR, and they want to say, hey guys, I'm good. I put out good DPS, but this item level thing screwing me over. Oh, come on, it's fine. It's cool. I'm not saying I would take you in all greens. It might not be a good idea in quest greens. Not a good idea, I don't think. Let's see. Loot quality, meaning the item level I was referring to. Loot quality will be between Raid Finder and normal difficulty and awarded through a personal loot system similar to Raid Finder. Bonus rolls and loot specialization will also be supported. So basically everything that you can already do, you can do in Flex, which is pretty awesome. Player spells with different target limits, depending on raid size, will gradually increase their limits based on the number of players in flexible raid difficulty. So basically if it says up to 5 your party or raid, so that's 5 to 10 or maybe 25, it'll say it'll go up to 13, 15, whatever the number is. Players will be able to earn raid achievements just like in normal or heroic difficulty. So you actually you actually do something while you're in there. It's just not like, oh, I'm just doing stuff, whatever. Flexible raid difficulty has a lockout that is separate from raid finder and normal difficulty. So essentially you could do raid finder, flex, and normal all in the same week. I think that's pretty good. To learn more about flexible raids, please. Okay, already went over that. Now here's one of the features I've been playing around with already today. The new area, the Timeless Isle. It's a really nice place. Just want to mention that it's really, really cool. I'll get into that in my thoughts after I go through all the patch notes with that about that. But here we go. A mysterious island lost for millennia to the currents of time has emerged from the mist off the eastern coast of Jade Forest. Players seek to explore the timeless isle, should visit the faction shrine in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The timeless isle is inhabited by all manners of strange and powerful creatures that will test the mettle of solo explorers, but great rewards await the brave and skillful. Epic loot, bind to account gear, mogul runes of fate, pets, mounts, fun toys, and much more. The isle is filled with secrets and mysteries, many of which dynamically become available to explorers. Keep an eye on your mini-map while on the isle for information on nearby events. Get to that in a minute. The Timeless Isle is home to 5 new world bosses. Players may face each of the 4 Celestials in a trial of combat. Heroes who have earned the legendary cloak from Wrathion may access the Sanctum of the fiery Yongle demigod Ordos atop the Timeless Isle. Essentially what that means, like I said, we're required to have your cloak to be legendary quality before you can, so you have to finish the Wrathion quest line. Okay? Once you do that, then you are eligible to fight Ordos. Ordos is going to be difficulty, basically his difficulty is going to be right there with Undasta. He's going to be the big world boss. You know, the Celestials are going to be more along the lines of Nalek, and Ordos is going to be more along the lines of Undasta, to give you an idea. I will say, I was on earlier today. I got the chance to fight the Celestials. Those are good fights. Some things you got to watch out for. They can wipe you if you do stupid things like I did. It's like Nizio, the Black Ox. He was just like, herpaderp, I'm gonna run you over, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get out of the way. Too late, dead. She was Dinka. She was such a beautiful character. Now she's dead. Well, she got res. It's all good. It's whatever. Okay. New feature, Proving Grounds. We talked about this a little last week, but here we go. Proving Grounds is a new feature where level 90 players can test their mettle and undertake trials designed for damage, tank, or healer roles to test and improve their combat skills in a safe and controlled environment. To access the Proving Grounds, speak with an NPC in the Temple of the White Tiger in Kunlai Summit or a class trainer. Each trial is available in 4 separate difficulties: bronze, silver, gold, and endless. Harder difficulties include more difficult and varied enemies. Endless mode allows you to test your mettle against increasingly difficult enemies. Compare your best score to friends and guildmates. See, that's the one I was talking about. It kind of, we talked about that at our recent guild meeting, is that this is a system that's designed to help you improve. It'll help you become better at your game, at your spec, because it'll throw things at you that you have to do to succeed. Like, heal X amount within X time limit, or make sure these things don't die while they're being attacked for X amount of time, etc., etc., etc. I think it's going to be a cool system. Here's another one. Here's another feature I'm excited about. Connected Realms. Connected Realms is a set of 2 or more standard realms that have been permanently and seamlessly linked. That's in quotations. Players on the same connected realms will be able to trade, send, and receive mail, join the same guilds, access a single auction house, run the same raids and dungeons, and join other adventurers to complete quests. To make connected realms feel seamless, players' home realms won't be indicated in the game world. In certain places, such as chat, the player's home realm will be displayed next to their name. So essentially, that's what I talk. It's basically doing a server merge without doing a server merge, because you're not going to lose your realm. And you won't have to lose your name or your guild name and all the, that's what people say. You really need to merge realms, but I could lose my, name of my character. I could lose my guild just because that other person might have made the name or made the character Dinka. I'll use mine for example. Like, they have a character named Dinka that they made 2 seconds before me, and I would lose that. That's not fair, And what if they hadn't played that character in 3 years, or they made the character and then then decided, no, we're never going to play it. I'm just going to leave it on my account. That's not cool. So this is the best way to do it. Blizzard knows what they're doing when it comes to that. Let's see. Redesigned arena system. I'll go over this. I don't know anybody who does arenas in our guild, but there's a lot of people out in the world who do. And, they might come along this podcast, and I hope they do. Players no longer need to create or join an arena team to compete. Similar to the rated battleground system, players in a party of the appropriate size, cross-realm groups are supported, may queue for an arena bracket of the same size, 2v2, 3v3, or 5v5. Each player will have a personal rating that increases or decreases based on victories and defeats against other rated opponents. Opponents will be selected based on the average matchmaking rating of the party. Conquest cap requirements and on gear and enchantments will be based on the player's personal rating. The arena ladder will no longer be sorted according to the battle group. Just like rated battlegrounds and normal battlegrounds, all arenas will now be region-wide. At the end of an arena season, the top players in a region will still earn titles and mounts. For more, and of course, go to the website if you want to know more information. The legendary quest continues. Rathion's final quests are now available for dedicated heroes who have fought on his behalf throughout the Pandarian campaign. He's waiting at the Tavern of the Mists in the Veiled Stair. Complete Rathion's final tasks on the Timeless Isle and upgrade your celestial cloak to legendary quality. Only players equipped with a legendary quote can reach the Sanctum of Ordos atop the Timeless Isle. Bonus though, this privilege extends account-wide. What that's saying is, if you have the cloak on one character, you only need it on one toon. You have it on that one toon, any of your level 90s can go and fight Ordos after that. So I think that's really cool. That is pretty awesome. I actually had to get my legendary cloak to be able to I've been kind of slack. I haven't even gotten the 3,000 Valor points yet. I've been lazy. I really need to play this game more. Here we go. Battlefield Barons, basically, it's letting you know that it's over, but I'll read through it. Vol'jin and his forces move beyond gathering supplies and into a full assault on the Horde capital. As such, the Battlefield Barons weekly quest will no longer be available once the invasion of Orgrimmar begins in 5.4. Ravika, the Darkspear Rebellion Quartermaster, will no longer be available. Latent Kor'kron armor tokens will no longer drop or be available for purchase. Players who still have a Radical Mojo will continue to be able to combine it with existing Latent Kor'kron armor tokens. Gazruki's Summoning Stone and Raptor Hide Boxing Gloves are now available as a rare drop from the Kor'kron and associated creatures in the Northern Barrens. So there's the things are still there, but it doesn't drop. It won't drop the latent armor or anything, but it will drop the Gazruki Summoning Stone and Raptor Hide Box. Anything that was like a kind of a cosmetic thing or dropped a quest or things like that, or even like set a battle pet like Gazruki is. So that kind of thing. If you give me just one moment, I'm just going to take a sip of my beverage here. Yes. That way I won't get dry mouth and dry throat like I did last week. Because everybody wants to hear my melodious voice. Now we get into the class changes. This is going to take a while. I will go over everything, so listen very carefully. I hope I'll try not to bore you. I really won't, but you never know. So here we go. All fear and horrifying effects can no longer. This is all classes, just to let you know. All fear and horrifying effects can no longer cause targets under the effects of movement speed buff to move faster than normal run speed. So basically, you can't get out of a fear, I guess is what it's saying. All taunt type abilities. I love this. All taunt type abilities now increase all threat generated against the target while the taunt is active by 200%. Yes. No more. Now, when you want to pull the aggro, you can pull the aggro. Vengeance has received several changes. I've been interested in this. I think it's overall a good change, but I'll go over it. Characters in a tanking specialization now generates 40% more threat. Yes. Vengeance now grants attacks equal to 1.5% of the damage, down from 1.8%. Tanks no longer receive vengeance from persistent area of effects damage or from missed attacks. They're basically saying you can't stand in fire and build up vengeance. It's kind of silly that worked anyway, but now it can't work. Just that simple. Vengeance gains from being critically hit have been reduced by 50%. Let's see. There are now diminishing returns on vengeance gains while tanking multiple targets. Each additional target grants progressively less vengeance. But here's a little caveat to that. So as not to affect challenge mode leaderboards, the above vengeance changes will not apply there. For challenge modes, vengeance will continue to work as it did in patch 5.3. Area knockback effects now share a diminished return category. After a player has been moved by one of these spells, the player will be immune for 10 seconds. This new category applies to Fellash, Gorfiend's Grasps, Glyph of Explosive Trap, Thunderstorm, Typhoon, Ursol's Vortex, and Whiplash. I believe that's a PvP thing. I'd double check on that, but I'm pretty sure it's PvP. Now to get into some stuff, class-specific stuff, we'll start with the Death Knight. Andy, Forsaken, my friend, I hope you're listening. I think you'll enjoy some of these things. Some are nerfs, some are buffs, so I think you'll enjoy it. Here we go. Deathgate now returns the Death Knight to a location near the original departure point when the spell is cast while in ebb and hold. Icebound Fortitude no longer costs runic power. Necrotic Strike now deals 100% weapon damage, down now from 150% weapon damage. Rune of Razor Ice now causes 3% extra weapon damage as frost damage, up from 2%. And each stack of frost vulnerability now causes the target to take an additional 3% damage from the Death Knight's frost attack, up from 2%. Soul Reaper's initial damage component has been increased by 30%. If the target is below 35% in health after 5 seconds, the amount of shadow damage dealt has been increased by 20%. Unholy Presence now grants a flat 10% haste to all things, up from the haste for melee, attack speed, and regeneration only. The movement speed buff remains unchanged. Fixed above that caused improved blood presence and runic corruption to incorrectly increase activation rates on some trinkets and effects. Okay, now we get to the blood changes. Rip Post is a new passive ability learned by the Blood Death Knights at level 76. When the Death Knight dodges or parries an attack, they gain 75% of their parry and dodge as additional bonus to critical strike for 20 seconds. Dancing Rune Weapon no longer costs runic power. Good. I'm saying that because I played a Death Knight and it was a Blood Death Knight, and that's why I say good. Sanguine Fortitude no longer reduces the cost of Icebound Fortitude. Okay. Scent of Blood now has a chance to activate when the Death Knight dodges or parries a melee attack. So it gives an incentive for having dodge and parry. Frost. Frost Strike now deals 115% weapon damage, up from 105% weapon damage. Howling Blast now deals 15% more damage. Might of the Frozen Waste now increases all melee attack damage by 30%, up from 20%. Obliterate now deals 250% weapons damage, up from 230% weapons damage. Y'all are gonna you'll frost the Death Knights. You're gonna be fine. You're going to be fine. Don't worry. It's good. You're gonna be okay. You're going to be okay. Unholy Master of Ghouls now reduces the cooldown of Raised Dead by 60 seconds. Ghouls Leap and Gnaw abilities no longer on global cooldown and no longer cost energy. Unholy Might now increases the Death Knight strength by 25%, up from 10%. So a nice little buff too. Talents. Anti-Magic Zone has been redesigned. Ooh. The talent now reduces magic damage effects in the area effect by 40% for 30 seconds. There is no longer a cap on total damage absorbed, and the ability no longer scales with strength. Death Siphon has its damage increased by 10%. Plague Leech now tries to convert 2 fully depleted runes up from 1 into death runes based on specialization, and it tells what the specializations are. You can look that up. Anybody who's Plague Leech. Okay. They got the new glyphs. Glyph of Festering Blood. Makes blood boil. Treat all targets if they had blood plague or frost fever. Glyph of Regenerative Magic. Imagine a magic cell. Expires after its full duration. Cooldown for the ability is reduced. Glyph of Swift Death. Haste effects granted by Soul Reaper now also increases the Death Knight's movement speed for the duration. And Glyph of Loud Horn. Horn of Winter now generates additional runic power, but the cooldown is increased. Might not be. Well, it might be a good idea considering this one. Glyph of the Long Winter. The Horn of Winter ability now lasts for 1 hour. Woot. Woot. It's about time. I think everybody would agree it's about time. And there's some other glyphs in here you might want to check out. Like this glyph of Outbreak causes Outbreak to cost 30 runic powder down for 40. So it reduces some things for Outbreak and some changes for that. Druids. General. Bear form now increases stamina contribution from cloth and leather arms by 40%, up from 20%. Cyclone no longer has a 20-second cooldown for feral druids. Fairy Fire now has a duration of 20 seconds while in PvP combat, down from 40 seconds. Enervate now restores mana based on the druid's spirit. So that's really cool. Teleport Moonglade now returns the druid to a location near the original departure point when the spell is cast while in the Moonglade area. So basically it's like, just like Deathgate. Wild Mushroom for Restoration Druids now summons a single mushroom at a friendly target's location. If the mushroom is recast, the mushroom moves to the new location and retains its accumulated bonus healing. A single mushroom now heals for as much as what 3 mushrooms combined healed previously. The amount of healing stored on a wild mushroom is now reduced by battle fatigue. Wild mushroom bloom now have a shared 3-second cooldown. Wrath now deals 10% more damage, but has its mana cost increased by 50%. So, some changes. Little changes there. Balance. Eclipse now energizes the druid for 50% of their maximum mana when triggered, up from 35%. Moonkin form now increases the druid's armor by 60%, but no longer reduces all damage taken by 15%. Shooting Stars now has a reduced chance to activate for each additional target affected by the same spell. Moonfire and Sunfire are tracked separately. Starfire now deals 10% more damage. Starfire now deals 10% more damage, but it has Starfall. The first one, Starfall, was the first one. Now deals 10% more damage. Starfire now deals 10% more damage, but has its mana cost increased by 50%. And Star Surge had its mana cost increased by 50% also. Feral has one change. Predatory Swiftness no longer has a chance to make Cyclone instant, free, and castable in all forms. Okay, Restoration. Genesis is a new restoration spell learned at level 88. Genesis targets all party raid members in 60 yards and accelerates the casting druid's rejuvenation effect, causing them to heal and expire at 400% of the normal rate. Costs the same amount of mana to cast as rejuvenation. That's pretty cool. Living Seed effects now stack up to 50% of the casting druid's maximum health and will no longer be consumed if the target is already at full health. Swiftman's area of effect healing is now effect is now called Efflorescence. Wild Mushroom Bloom is no longer capable of critical strikes and accumulates healing done by rejuvenation by 100%, down from 150%. Overhealing bonus no longer benefits from Naturalist or Mastery Harmony. See, talents. Astral Communion now defaults to generate lunar energies towards a lunar eclipse when used after being resurrected. Dream of Cenarius has been completely redesigned to reduce complexity and increase usability, but maintain the spirit. Feral. I will be posting these also, these patch notes. So I'm just going to hit some of the finer points. I'll probably just go over to just the class changes, not too much the talents and the glyphs anymore because it's going to be a very long night. So I'm going to go and jump on the hunters. Under the general tab, the following hunter abilities no longer cost focus to use: dash, dive, and charge. Arcane Shot now deals 125% weapons damage, up from 100%, and had its focus cost increased by 50%. I've noticed this, but it's not a big deal. Counter Shot is now a baseline interrupt ability learned by all hunters at level 22. Deterrence now has a 3-minute cooldown, up from 2 minutes, but has 2 charges. Disengage now has a cooldown of 20 seconds, down from 25 seconds. Explosive Trap had its overall damage decreased by 30% proportionately, More damage has been removed from the initial damage than the periodic effect. Hunter's Mark now has a duration of 20 seconds while in PvP. Readiness has been removed. Revive pet no longer requires the hunter have line of sight to their pet. Stampede damage dealt by pets when the ability is used outside of an arena or battleground is no longer reduced by 75%. Yes! It's an effective cooldown again. Woo! Beast Cleave's range have been increased by 10 yards, up from 8 yards. Kill command damage has been increased by 34%. That's under Beast Mastery. For Marksman, Aim Shot now deals 450% ranged weapon damage, up from 350%. And Binding Shot is no longer a Marksman Hunter ability and once again a talent. Survival, Explosive Shot damage has been increased by 27%. Explosive Trap no longer shares a cooldown with Black Arrow, but can no longer activate Lock and Load. That works. Talents. Murder of Crows now deals 40% damage, more damage. So almost, I think I had to look at the numbers, but it might be worth picking up again. Aspect of the Iron Hawk now reduces all damage taken by 10 down from 15. Glaive Toss no longer initiates auto attack. Lynx Rush damage has been increased by 30%. Narrow Escape Root Effects is now a nature spell, was a physical spell. Silently Shot is no longer a talent and is now an ability that replaces Counter Shot for Marksman Hunters. Spirit Bond now regenerates 3% of total health every 2 seconds, while the Hunter's Pet is active, up from 2%. Wyvern Sting now has a range of 40 yards. We'll get into the glyphs. Mage. General Ice Lance damage has been increased by 43%. Under Fire. Combustion on targets effects by the Mage's Ignite now deals additional damage equal to 20% of the Ignite's damage per tick, down from 50%. Frost. Mastery. Frostburn has been replaced with Mastery Icicles. When the mage damage an enemy and their Frostbolt from their Frostbolt and Frostfire Bolt, and the damage is done, the damage done is stored as an Icicle for 15 seconds. Mastery Icicle also increases the Water Elemental's Water Bolt damage. Up to 5 icicles can be stored at once. Casting Ice Lance launches all stored icicles at the target. Frostbolt now deals 10% lash damage and no longer increases the damage of any spell. The damage of those spells have been increased instead. Water Elemental's Water Bolt damage has been increased by 25%. Just going to take a little sip. Good stuff. And then we got the talents. Frostbomb now deals 7% of the damage to players, up from 60. Ice Flows now has 3 charges, up from 2. Living Bomb down deals 85% weapons damage, up from 70. Nether Tempest now deals 85% of damage to players, up from 70. Rune of Power now has an increase in effective range. Rune of Power benefits from mana generation. Temporal Shield now reduces damage taken by 15% while active, in addition to existing effects. Monks, my other favorite class right now. Monks. Spinning Crane Kick now functions like a smart heal, healing the most 6 injured friendly targets within range, and minor guardians are no longer targeted, such as your pets, wild imps, bloodworms, snakes from snake traps. There are no changes to the total amount of healing granted by the ability. Now this is in red, in orange, so it might be changed. I can't remember, but we'll just go down the list. Let's see. Brewmaster. Keg Smash now deals 18% less damage, and fixed a bug that caused the damage of some abilities for Brewmasters with Vengeance to scale incorrectly, so getting a fix. Mistweaver. Manatee is now consumed at an increased rate of 1 stack per 0.5 seconds, up from 1 stack per 1 second. Revival's healing has been reduced by 30%. For Windwalkers, Mastery Bottled Fury has been redesigned. Bottled Fury now gives you a chance to generate an additional charge of Tiger Eye Brew when the monk gains 1 normally. Storm, Earth, and Fire now deals 70% damage, up from 60, with 1 Spirit Summon and 55% up from 45% of the 2 Spirit Summon. Tiger Eye Brew received an adjustment. It now increases damage by 6% per stack, up from 1% per stack. It's no longer increased by mastery. A charge of Tiger Eye Brew is gained for each 4 chi consumed through the use of abilities and attacks, up from a charge for each 3 chi consumed. So now it's 4 chi. Changes. Let's see. Chi Brew now restores 2 chi and has a 45-second cooldown, down from 1.5 minutes. Generates stacks of brew. See, Brewmaster's 5 stacks of elusive. Mistweaver 2 stacks of Manatee, and Windwalker's 2 stacks of Tiger Eye. I don't think I've ever used Chi Brew. It might be worth taking out, but we will see. We'll crunch numbers and find out. Activate. Brewmaster Power Strikes will now activate from Falling Tree, generating abilities. Jab, Expel Harm, Spinning Crane Kick, Ring of Peace. Has a new visual effect that properly depicts its area effect. Now disarms both enemies and those attacking allies within the Ring of Peace area for 4 seconds. And the silencing effect for casting spells remains unchanged. Rushing Jade Wind has been redesigned and replaces Spinning Crane Kick. See, that's why I'm thinking this one up here might be it might be off a little bit. But I'll read it. Rushing Jade Wind, which is now Spinning Crane Kick. The monk summons a whirling tornado around them, dealing damage to nearby enemies, heals nearby allies with Mistweavers. Rushing Jade Wind has the same cost, chi generation, periodic rate of Spinning Crane Kick, but deals 80% of the periodic damage or healing, lasts 6 seconds, is instant and not channeled. Zen Sphere now deals 15% of healing damage. Of healing and damage, excuse me. And there's some glyph changes. Paladins. General Sanctity of Battle now also affects the cooldown of Holy Shock. Seal Insight no longer has a chance to restore mana on attacks. That kind of sucks. Turn Evil now has a 15-second cooldown. Holy. Mastery. Illuminated Healing no longer activates for periodic healing effects. Divine Plea no longer reduces the amount of healing done, and now restores mana based on the Paladin Spirit. Guardian, the Ancient Kings. Holy now has a 3-minute cooldown, down for 5 minutes, and summons a Guardian that heals the ally. The Paladin healed for 100%, up from 10%, and the amount healed, but no longer heals nearby friendly targets. Holy Insight now increases the effectiveness of Eternal Flame, Light of Dawn, and Word of Glory by 50%. Effectiveness of other heals still increased by 25%. See, this is one of those Holy Malfunctions, a smart heal. It's Holy Radiance. I don't know. I'm gonna kind of leave that. I don't know. I'll find out later what the thing means. Holy Shock's mana cost has been reduced by 50%. Judgment for Holy Paladins now costs 12% of base mana cast. Now, under protection, Crusader Strike now applies as a weakened blows effect to the target for the protection paladins. Grand Crusader no longer has a chance to activate from Crusader Strike, Helm of Righteousness, but now has a 30% chance to activate while dodging, parrying a melee attack, up from 12. Guarded by the Light now restores 50% of the Paladin's maximum mana every 2 seconds, up from 6 seconds. In Retribution, Guardian of the Ancient Kings, Retribution version, now has a reduced cooldown 3 minutes, down from 5 minutes, and a maximum number of stacks has been reduced to 12. Inquisition now lasts 20 seconds per Holy Charge consumed, up from 10 seconds. And there's a lot of talent changes. Good gracious. I think I'm going to skip around here a little bit. Let's see. Just kind of look here. Like I said, I will be posting the patch notes probably under this video, so everything will be on the blog, which is blogspot.platinumsanctum.com. So everything will be there if you want to look it over a little more fine-tooth comb. Kind of go over priests a little bit. Hymn of Hope now prefers to target healers when it grants mana. Healers will always be picked from non-healers regardless of how much mana they have. Leap of Faith no longer has a facing requirement. Shadow Word Death now deals 15% more damage. Shadow Word Pain now deals 15% more damage. Under Discipline, Grace can no longer be dispelled. Rapture now energizes the priest for 100% of the mana cost to power word shield. The shield is fully consumed or dispelled. Used to energize the priest with mana equal to 150% of their spirit. This is the modified mana cost for power word shield after being reduced by Rapture's passive effect. Spirit Shell's duration has been reduced by 10%, down from 15. And the damage absorption shield effectiveness can now be reduced through battle fatigue. Holy Word Sanctuary mana cost reduced to 3.8%, down from 6.3. I don't know if that's true up there. It might be, since it now functions as a smart heal. Basically the same thing said for the Paladin and the Druid about the not killing ability of pets and blah, yada yada. Light Spring is now a baseline for Holy Priests, and the ability has been renamed to Lightwell. Serendipity's mana cost reduction has been reduced to 20% per stack, up from 10% per stack. Has been increased. Why did I say reduced? Has been increased. The mana cost reduction has been increased to 20%. And no longer displays a spell effect when the UI when it's active. Shadow form now increases the priest's armor by 60%, but no longer reduces all damage taken by 15%. Shadow apparitions now create a shadowy version of the priest that float towards the target and deals damage. The apparitions are treated as a missile and no longer an attackable creature. Vampiric Touch now deals 20% more damage. And we'll look at the talents in a little bit. Like I said, everything will be on the blog. Got some rogue changes. Evasion now dodge chance by 100% was 50%. Cooldown reduced by 2 minutes, down from 3 minutes, and the duration has been reduced to 10 seconds, down from 15 seconds. Eviscerate now deals 10% less damage. Phantom Knife damage has been increased by 25%. Recuperate now restores 4% of maximum health every 3 seconds, up from 3%. Sinister Strike now deals an increase 240% weapon damage, up from 145%, and now costs 50 energy, up from 40 energy. Assassination Rogues should no longer be eligible for any other type of weapon except daggers in a situation where loot is automatically awarded. So, if you're assassination, you'll always get daggers. That's the way it should be. Dispatch now deals 640% weapon damage, 645% weapon damage, up from 460%. Mutilate now deals 280% weapon damage, up from 200%. Combat. New passive ability, Ruthlessness. This passive ability is learned by combat rogues level 32. The rogue gains a 20% chance per combo point, 100% at 5 combo points, and immediately regains 1 combo point when performing the finishing move. Killing Spree targeting has been changed. If Blade Fury is not active, Killing Spree will hit the rogue on target 7 times, or pick the closest eligible target if none have been selected. Killing Spree will continue to work as it has while Blade Fury is active. Revealing Strike now deals 160% weapons damage, up from 125. Vitality now increase attack by 40%, up from 30. And Subtlety. Backstab now deals 380% weapons damage, up from 275. Hammers now deals 160 weapon damage, up from 140. 232% weapon damage if Daggers is equipped, up from 203. Sanguinary Vein now increases damage against targets with bleed effects by 25%, up from 20. And they got some shaman changes. Take a little drink. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. And let's see. General for the shaman. Chain heal effectiveness will no longer decrease with each jump, up from a 30% reduction to healing with each jump. Earth Elemental Totems. Summon Greater Earth Elemental will no longer taunt off players that are in a tanking specialization. Woohoo! Fire Elemental Totems summon Greater Fire Elementals now deal 10% less damage. Healing Rain's healing has been reduced by 30%, and the area effect has been increased by 12 yards, up from 10 yards in addition. Yeah, that's another thing. It said it will not attack. That's the whole thing with pets and whatnot. Fire Nova's damage has been increased by 83%. This is enhancement, by the way. Storm Strike's debuff now also affects Elemental Blast, but now deals 380% weapons damage, down from 450%. Restoration. Purification now increases the healing done by Healing Rain by 100%, in addition to the ability's current effects. And Riptide's mana cost has been reduced by 25%. So there were no changes to Elemental. Interesting. But I believe there are some changes in the talents, so that'd be something to look into. Let's see, Warlocks. They've had quite a few changes. They'll be in the patch notes. There's a lot. And Warriors, yeah, I'm gonna have to put all these in the patch in the article because there's a lot of changes. I'll just go on down because we're gonna hit an hour if I go over everything because we're already at 40 minutes. So let's see, we're looking at raids. The chance for awarding loot from kills bonus to increase motion and vaults, Heart of Fear, Toast in the Spring, and the Throne of Thunder raid difficulties. So you got a better chance of gear dropping now that they are old content. Let's see, the chance for awarding loot from using a bonus roll has been increased for Throne of Thunder on normal difficulty. All enemies in Throne of Thunder now have a debuff called Shadow Pan Onslaught, which reduces their health and damage by 20%. And that's just saying this is a item that you will get a temporary title if you get a realm best time in a challenge mode dungeon, and you will lose it if you lose that title. This is cool. In scenarios, heroic scenarios no longer have a minimum item level requirement to enter. And here's some PvP changes. Like I said, they'll be in the. I'll put those in the patch notes because not enough people PvP hardcore enough to get into all that. But I will put them in the notes so everybody can read. And let's see, there's been some changes for professions. There's some new raid and PvP blacksmithing plans been added. I have seen them drop in the Timeless Isle, so you'll have to kill mobs. There's some new cooking things that have been added. You can have your own cooking noodle cart. So can't wait to see that for a second. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Enchanting. Items formerly retained with Valor points that now cost Justice points will now disenchant into Shaw Crystal Fragments, a new enchanting reagent. Multiple Shaw Crystal Fragments can now be combined into Shaw Crystals. Engineering. Are now able to acquire Chief Engineer Jard's journal and can learn to craft Jard's peculiar energy source and new material used in a number of new engineering schematics. The journal can be obtained as a drop from creatures in Vandaria. Blingtron 4000 gift packages now have a chance to contain Little Bling, a companion pet. So there's a chance you might get another pet from Blingtron now. Yay! Fishing with the lakes. With the lakes and rivers of the Vale of Eternal Blossom drained of water, the Cloud Serpent carries little buckets of jeweled Danio and relocated to the Timeless Isle so they can thrive once more. Inscription. Many new glyphs have been added. They come off drops from the Timeless Isle. Let's see. Leatherworking. New raid and PvP leatherworking has been added. Same with tailoring. And then they just go over some different items and whatnot. And they've changed some UI code just to clean it up a little bit. I think it kind of messed mine up a little bit, but I hope it'll be fixed in a little bit. So I'm not too worried about that at all. So that is pretty much the rundown for patch 5.4. I will discuss some more stuff tomorrow once I get it out there. Don't want this to go too long, and I don't want to bore anybody. But if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an in-game mail. You know my mains to people who people who watch. If you want to leave a comment in the YouTube section or on the blog or on Facebook, or you just want to talk to me directly and have a question about something, please feel free. I'm available all times, and I'll be glad to touch on it in a future podcast. So for now, I think we're going to have some fun with this new patch coming up. It's on the rating and all that good stuff. So anything you want me to hear me go over in the next few days, please let me know. I'd be glad to do it. And as always, thank you for listening, and you have a wonderful time and great adventures to you. Thank you so much. Good night.